one of my favorite movies is actually a comedy. It's called The Stepford Wives. It's based on a horror movie from the 70s, which is based on a book. Now, there is a lot to unpack with it, and I wouldn't say spoilers, because the term Stepford wife is so part of pop culture now. But the gist of it is, a woman and her husband move to a small town, and they find something's a bit off. It's pretty perfect and colorful on the outside, but there's a creepiness underneath and a dysfunction underneath. And they find that, especially with the women in town who seem endlessly perfect, endlessly cheery, and no problems whatsoever, to the point of creepiness. And they ultimately find that the husbands have replaced the wives with these perfect submissive robots. There's more to it than that, but I do recommend people watch it, because while the movies are flawed, a lot of people like the original more, but I do like the remake better. And one, because it's a comedy, and I like the suburban satire a lot. I'm going into what I like, but the idea that I personally find so scary is the idea that people who claim they love you want to change you and want to replace you with something that they think is perfect. Something that robs you of who you are as a person, but is a better version of you. Anyone who's proud of who they are, even if they're offbeat, and people who are pro-individualism will find that idea scary. And it also goes into, which you have to fill in the gaps when you interpret it. But there is a lot that you can say on the nature of relationships and abusive relationships, individuality versus conformity, and the benefits of imperfection. There's a lot you can really unpack with it. Now, the original movie, it's clearly men trying to make the women submissive. That's in the remake too, but what I do think is a little more smart about the remake, spoiler alert, is that the ultimate villain is a woman. And I find that a bit more interesting, because it adds a little more. Now, of course, sexism, politics is a factor in it. And I thought it had some interesting ideas about how women can tear each other down and support some pretty awful values. Now, they don't flesh out the characters as much as they could have. It is flawed. And the plot, for some people expecting more, can be a bit thin, and there are older ideas on gender that don't quite translate. I do get it. But the ideas on how the main villain was somebody who did have it all, but still wasn't happy, and it still didn't stop the man she loved from cheating on her and leaving her. So she thinks that going back to this time is gonna make people happier. And in her own twisted way, she's trying to help people who are like her, but it ultimately robs them of who they are as people, and they don't get to make that choice for themselves. There is a lot you can analyze with it. That, and it's a shame that so many people who worked on that movie dismiss it, because it's got a big name cast. I mean, Nicole Kidman as the lead, who is wonderful. I love that character. The lead character in the remake, Joanna Eberhardt, she is a highly successful business person. She's in television, and she's somebody who is constantly giving, constantly trying to do the right thing, and constantly making sacrifices for people she loves, only to be called selfish by the very people she's making sacrifices for. And I don't just think that's a woman thing. I could see that being a truth to a lot of different people. And that idea, that character, really hits home. It was also, another thing I really love about the remake is that they introduce a gay couple. This movie came out in 2004, when gay marriage was gaining more traction, was getting more of this narrative that's, oh, gay people can get married happily ever after, and that was really it. But this was the first movie that I personally saw that showed gay couples as people, and even if one person is a bit more of the gay stereotype, that was his authentic self, and it showed that gay couples have relationship problems like any other straight couple, which I think is a really wonderful thing to showcase. Then he's played by Roger Bart, who is an actor I personally love. I also think there are legitimately good jokes in there, in the remake. Now, they have some really, really good actors in there. It is a shame that some of them, and even the director Frank Oz, renounced the movie. And it had a troubled production, but it's good. I love it so much. And I think one of my favorite jokes that I saw was, now they're the side character of the show, so the main trio who we root for, Nicole Kidman's character, Joanna Eberhard, the guy, one of the gay characters, Roger Bart, and her friend Bobby Markowitz, played by Bette Midler, who is so funny in this movie. They're the outcasts for different reasons, and I love their chemistry. There's one joke where they're trying to cheer up a neighbor of theirs, and they overhear her having sex with her husband. It's this explosive, orgasmic, over-the-top sex they're having. You don't see anything. And then she lets out, the woman who's obviously a Stepford wife lets out this scream, and Roger goes, "Okay, I'm going up there." "Why?" "I want some." Quips like that are really, really enjoyable. I do love the chemistry of the actors, and I do find it a shame that the movie didn't resonate with as many people, because there are good ideas there. There's good, horrifying ideas there. It could have, I think it might have done well as an episode of The Twilight Zone, and I know Twilight Zone's done very similar stuff to this. They have done similar issues with beauty and issues of men, issues with women, battle of the sexes. That's probably something we're always going to be arguing about. But the ideas in it are just really, really good, and I hope to God I get to talk to Frank Oz and Nicole Kidman sometime, because that movie really did make a positive impact on my life.